The Wisconsin dad who police say faked his own death and fled to Europe. He's back in the U.S. this morning, free on bond, and we're learning new details about his escape. Eva Pilgrim here with the latest on that. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, George. Ryan Borgwardt told authorities he really didn't think they'd look for him that long. The sheriff telling us that as soon as they made contact, they were hopeful that he would actually come back. And when he got on that plane earlier this week, they breathed a sigh of relief. It was actually going to happen.
This morning, the father of three accused of faking his own death and fleeing the country, now back in Wisconsin facing local charges for obstructing an officer.
You do have the right to an attorney. You can hire your own.
I can't pay that money, so I'll defend myself.
Ryan Borgwardt voluntarily turning himself in Tuesday after a months-long search. The 45-year-old telling investigators how he carried out his plan, saying he had spent a great deal of time researching how to disappear. Everything hinged on me dying in the lake. The whole idea was to sell the death.
The plea that we gave him, I guess he believed that he could trust us. I was floored when he got on his plane.
Borgwardt was first reported missing August 12th when he didn't come home from kayaking on a nearby lake. Authorities searched the lake for 54 days, coming up empty. Until they got a break in the case. Investigators discovering Borgwardt's name had been checked by Canadian law enforcement August 13th, the day after his disappearance. Borgwardt revealing to investigators in newly filed court documents that he rode an e-bike he hid near the lake to a bus station, where he got on a bus to cross into Canada. He used a Western Union card to book a flight at the Toronto airport to Paris and eventually going to the country of Georgia. He says he took approximately $5,500 in cash with him. Borgwardt admitting he had been chatting online with a woman in Eastern Europe and that she picked him up when he arrived.
Good evening, it's Ryan Borgwardt.
Authorities saying they made contact with him about a month ago.
I'm in my apartment. I am safe, secure.
Investigators discovering that before he disappeared, Borgwardt took out a life insurance policy and moved money to a foreign bank. After nearly 4 months on the run, authorities say earlier this week he decided to return. The sheriff saying their goal was to get him back for the sake of his children.
That was our whole purpose. He could talk with his children again and explain to them whatever he needs to explain.
This morning, Borgwardt is out of jail free on a $500 signature bond.
Well, though faking your own death in and of itself is not a crime, he was charged with obstruction of a law enforcement officer because he did things to obstruct the actual investigation as to what happened to him. He purposely got rid of IDs. He tried to mask his trail. So that was essentially thwarting the investigation of law enforcement.
So his next court date is a status hearing. The sheriff really crediting his chief deputy, saying he kept in contact with Borgwardt and is a huge part of how they were able to get him to turn himself in. But at the end of the day, the sheriff telling us this was about making sure his children were able to have that conversation with their father, and that was the most important thing to him.
They brought him home.
Brought him home.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that, Eva.